All right, I'm going to just walk through different aspects of your store. I'll probably bounce around a little bit, just as my attention gets grabbed onto something. Um, so before I talk about the website, the brand, and the design, I want to talk about your products because your products are the most important thing, right? You need great products to start before you even think about having a great website. So if I look at your products here, what I see is that all the same design? Am I the one? That's funny. Am I the one or two? Baby got backhand. All right, so you got a bunch of different sayings. No imagery on your products, except I like the fact you got your logo in there. That's nice. Um, Trying to get a feel for it. So you got t-shirts, tanks, long sleeves, hoodies, socks. So it's all apparel. Mostly, there's a couple with graphics finally. Um, I would have expected more graphics, but that's not a right or wrong thing. It's just my initial impression of stuff. Um, yeah, you got lots and lots of stuff here, but they're also very similar, right? So that'll I'll explain what I mean by that in a second. So there's the bag. All right, so you got a ton of stuff here, and my guess is that you're doing print on demand because you have so many things here, which is fine when you're starting out, right? But the quality of print on demand is notoriously shitty, really shitty. So as soon as you start, if you're not already doing it, if you're doing print on demand today, as soon as you start scaling up, you're going to want to print your own products. Let me show you an example here. So Methusiast is a store I built a few years ago now, and this woman, she's a full-time nurse. She's got kids. This is her right here, and she also is doing a very successful business with T-shirts and other stuff that is targeted just for nurses and doctors and other medical professionals, right? So it's like you're focused on just pickleball, she's focused on just medical. And the cool thing is, if you look at her reviews, and she's got tons of them, super soft, fits well, right? Hand down favorite, unbelievably soft. And so, like half the time, people talk about the quality materials. So about the quality, material soft but feels sturdy. They talk about the quality of the T-shirts. You will never get that feedback from print on demand. And the cool thing is, right, your first purchase that someone does, they're going to do because of the design. But they're going to come back to you if the quality of your product is high. All right. So as you get moving along, if you're doing print on demand today, I would recommend you go to finding your own local manufacturer as soon as possible, for your key marquee items, so that you start getting reviews that say things like high quality, more durable, last in the washer, all that kind of stuff. So let's look at a product page where people are making their decision. Your product page is your most important page. So I don't know why you're doing this black background, right? Which I said I wasn't going to talk about design, but I'm going to talk about that, right? Because there's a reason that, the world is white, sites. Now, don't get me wrong. I make dark background sites, but I only do them for one reason. And that is when I'm doing art. So this is a shop in La Jolla, right? And the dark background pops the colors of the art, right? But you notice that we have no backgrounds on the art, so the art goes right up against the dark, and it makes it pop a little bit. It brings up the content to the forefront. With yours, with the dark, then white, then product, it's there's no need to have a dark background unless you think it's an important part of your brand. But my rule is, see, Printify, you're doing print on demand on these things. And by the way, I wouldn't put the brand here. That's just probably a checkbox in your theme to show the vendor. I would not show that there because people in the know will know. Oh, it's crappy quality kind of thing. So I would do a white background, dark text kind of thing. Like I said, unless it's a big part of your brand, which maybe it is, right? And we'll talk about your colors and all that stuff in a little bit. So here, I absolutely fucking hate "you may also like," right? Because Amazon does it like on an Amazon product page. There's probably 50 links to other products, right? But that's because Amazon has no confidence that you're on the right page. Because Amazon has too many products to do a good job in merchandising them and making sure that the customer is making confident decisions. So you're going to see me talk a little bit about your user funnel and making sure that people are well educated every step of the way so that when they make a decision, they're confident about it. And if that's the case, then you don't need to recommend other things on that same page. Now, it could be, and there's times you want to merchandise here, but you want it, instead of it just being the generic thing, so right now, this is just an algorithm powered by Shopify that says, oh, people that buy this also buy this. Well, you don't have enough data, and most Shopify stores never have enough data, right? You need to have, 1,000, sales a month to have that kind of data. So it's just random shit thrown up there. But if what you did was say, all right, this design, Pickleball Mom, like a regular mom, only cooler, and you showed that it also came in a t-shirt, a tank top, that would make sense to me, right? If you like this design also comes in these other, formats, right? And you could even do things where they buy, all three of them together and all that kind of stuff. So here on your product page is this, right? This is the shit that Printify gave you, right? This is the description about the products, the material. But people aren't buying the material, right? People are buying your design. And this explains nothing about your design. Nothing, right? So I would get rid of all that crap or hide it in some little thing, size charts are okay and that kind of stuff. But that information I would put down lower on the page. What I would put here is who buys this and what happens to their life when they buy it. So, let's say there's a Pickleball Mom. Let's call her Nancy, right? If Nancy's on this page, what you want to be telling Nancy is, hey Nancy. You don't want to say hey Nancy, but wearing this, lets people know that you're a mom, but more importantly, you play pickleball. And people are going to laugh. Everybody's going to be in on the joke. What is the outcome of me wearing this shirt? Why would I wear it? Right? What kind of person is going to wear it? And what is my life going to be like once I wear it? Right? People are going to laugh and joke and have fun and all that kind of stuff. And the next thing is, and I say this to every single store that doesn't do this yet, right, is you need people in your store as quickly as possible. And for you, the print-on-demand guys will do photography on humans. I would not use that at all, right? So I'll show you a real example here. When I go to Mulberry Park Silks, when I first started working with these guys like 4 or 5 years ago now, they had no humans on their website, right? And I was telling them, you got to put human beings. And all it was silk sheets, silk, blue, purple, red, silk. And it was really kind of boring. So then, I pushed them. So go, hire a model and do a photo shoot. And that was 4 or 5 years ago, right? So now what they do, and they're in Connecticut. They're in Branford, Connecticut. So they found some website where there's local people, right? And I forget the name of the website, but you can just find local models, and I do models in air quotes. They are, they're models who, do photography. They know how to pose and all that kind of stuff. But it's not like, they're world-class models kind of thing. They're just local people who, this is part of, their side gig kind of thing. So they hired one person, took some photos, and that one person was way too young, right, and female. And so then over time, you can see this woman, she's actually 40, I think. So they started hiring, some older people, some diversity, some males in here. There's a guy now kind of thing. But every, few months, they do another photo shoot. So they actually have a studio. They've got a couple beds. These beds are in their warehouse. And they've set up these, these photo shoots. You can see this bed here is the same as this bed here. So they've set up the studio where they do photography in their warehouse. And they just hire somebody every couple months, and they come in and do more photos. And now, 5 years later, their site is wonderfully diverse, right? And here's the cool thing. I can now see myself in the photos. Like, oh, People love silk sheets. Oh, they cuddle up in their silk, right? They snuggle and all this kind of stuff. Where when it was just sheets, it was a completely different website, right? And so as you know, pickleball is super freaking fun, right? So what we want to see, I would expect to see all of your photography is on pickleball courts, and with human beings in them. Now that takes time, takes energy, takes money, but you probably have friends who are good-looking people who would willingly do this for you. And even if you start off shooting your photography on an iPhone, that's totally fine. All of these photos are done on iPhone. They are not studio quality professional photographer stuff, but they are good enough. They're way better than in competition who doesn't do any photography with humans, right? So remember, you don't have to be world class. You just got to be better than your competition. And I'm going to guess the world of pickleball apparel isn't that high tech or high money where there's professional quality stuff going on. And even if it is a photo that you take at a pickleball court with a good looking person wearing this, a good looking mom wearing this, way better and way more compelling than this photo here. Now that takes time, it takes energy, but let me put it this way. I tell all my clients is you have to be a content creator. It has to be a core competency of what you do, right? And because you're doing your own unique designs, you're going to have to take photos of every single design you make on every single, clothing over time. And I'll give you a real example here. It's a store I just launched a few months ago, right? Rugged Rosaries. Now they don't have people in their photos, but all, these are all their own designs, and they shoot all their own photography. So like when I ask them for something, they go and they give me that photo 2 days later, kind of thing. They've just made their product photography part of their core competency that they do in house, and I highly recommend that you do the exact same thing. Right? You don't have to have $5,000 worth of gear, especially if you're shooting outside at a pickleball court. You don't need to set up lighting and all that kind of stuff. You'll figure out the right times of day and the right angles and those things. But I would as quickly as possible start getting some photography up here so people can see themselves in these products. So this description here needs to be to the person that you're selling it to, why they're picking this design, right? And I think that a lot of it's just going to be, it makes your pickleball time even more fun, right? It gives you something for you and your pickleball friends who you just met on the court to laugh about and giggle about. It's a conversation starter, all those little things, right? I'll give you another real example is Alcoholics Anonymous, a store we're working on right now. This whole site is about being funny, right? It's about laughing and joking with your friends about being an asshole, right? So if you get this asshole card here, right? You get this gold, and it's metal. It feels pretty cool when you hold it, right? Kind of thing. It's this gold metal card, right? But he shot videos. And you can't hear the sound on this.
We certainly were not expecting this reaction.
He shot videos of him using the card.
We wanted to see if the laughter created by the Alcoholics Anonymous VIP goblets. Our first stop was.
People are laughing and giggling when they see the card. So he's showing the card in use, right? And how it makes your time more fun, right? You need to be doing the same thing. So once you start doing photography, you have to start doing video right after that, right? Because I imagine one of your advertising channels, highly recommend this, is going to be video ads on YouTube. For all the people that are watching all those YouTube how-to videos, you can target those, pickleball players and have videos showing people having a great time wearing your designs and laughing and giggling, and everybody's having a wonderful, time kind of thing, right? So So this product page, that's enough comments for now, but I am going to look at another product because I saw something else I wanted to mention. So, yeah, here's a good example. So this you can make a color swatch so they don't have to read, right? It's a little square or circle of color. Your theme probably does it. If not, other themes do it. But I would have this be a color swatch so I don't have to read the words. And I would highly recommend you not have so many colors. So what's the difference between ash, athletic, right? So these two are too close together to have them be separate colors. asphalt and dark heather, gray heather, too close together. Now heather is different. The material is different. I get that. I don't know the difference between a tri-blend. Is that actually a different material or not? But that's not explained to me anywhere. But what I would recommend, what's deep heather look like? Yeah, so you got too many colors that are too close together. So anytime you add another choice, believe it or not, it doesn't improve your sales. It actually hurts it, right? Choice is bad. Now, you have to have choice. Don't get me wrong. But if you can reduce choices, so instead of having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 colors to pick from, if instead of having 12 colors, you give me 4 colors, it's easier for me to make a decision, right? So let's say I like blue. So I'm going to buy a blue one, right? But if you have 4 blues, well, which blue's the best one? Oh, I don't know. If you only give me one blue choice, it's either that one or nothing, right? So it's an easier choice to make kind of thing. So I would look at, can you reduce the number of choices you have? Now, that's not the same thing on size, right? If you're large, you're large. If you're double XL, you're double XL. That's not a choice for a person. They're just saying, this is who I am. But down here, I'm making a choice, and reducing those would actually be helpful. More is not good. Less is better. So that is that product. I'm surprised you don't even have like back shots and that kind of stuff. Now this one doesn't have. Let's find one with the logo on it, because I actually like that little detail a lot. Yeah, so you don't even show a detailed photo of that kind of thing. You could do that, right? Have a second photo which shows it. You might also want a backside photo that shows that there's nothing on it, or at least say here the back it has no design, right? Front, and you could have little icons for this type of stuff, right? Front design, back design on the sleeve or something like that. So logo tag or whatever we call this little thing up here, right? If you had little icons that showed those things, the back is empty, then I know, well, what's on the back? Well, it says right there, nothing on the back. And if you can put something in a graphic, that's way better than it being in words, because most people don't read. There's skimmers on the text, but graphics draw their eyes to things a little bit better. Right? So let's go up a level and talk about your collection page. So right now for filters, you have availability and price. Now, I don't know if you're using the Shopify filter app. If you are, which you should be, great. What you want to do then is add more things. So it seems to me you've got a bunch. So the first thing I've got here, right? If I'm shopping, I probably want to see a couple different filters, right? The first one I want to see is sizes, because maybe some things are available in my size and some things are not. I don't know if everything is available in all sizes. So I want to see a filter for size. I'd also want to see male, female, unisex, right? I'd also want to see long sleeve, short sleeve, tank, hoodie, bag, socks, those kind of things, so product types. And then I also might want to see one for designs, right? But I don't know how many designs you have, but let's just say you have 20 total designs across all these different products. 20 is a lot, but and I'm not saying that's too many in that case, but if you had a filter that said design, so I just want to see everything that's, I like this, oh, baby got backhand. I love that design. Show me all the products that are in that design, right? So I would expect to see filters here, and I'd have them on the side. And let me show you, I think rugged, we've got filters. If we go here, let's just go to all, I wanted to see all rosaries. Do we have an all rosaries? On sale, customer favorites, new arrivals, spring. No, we don't have an all, so we'll just pick new arrivals. Oh, we don't. She doesn't have. Oh, maybe it's new arrivals. We don't have filters. Let's see if filters on anything else. Yeah. So here we go. So on this one here, right, we've got a filter for material. Decade is, I don't know if you're Catholic or not. How many different beads are on it, kind of thing. Different features. Style. So this is what I call the taxonomy. So what I did is I looked at the product catalog, and just trying to guess what features are going to be important to customers when differentiating between these products, right? So this is the conversation I started before about the funnel, right? What you want to be doing on this page is pointing out the differences between the products so that people can make the choices that they want, right? So if I like, jet black, right? I'm all goth. Then here's the ones for me. So I got jet black. I like the paracord. Let's do that. Now all of a sudden, a second ago there were 25 products that were on the list or more. Now I'm down to 5. Now on 5, I can look at this and make a decision, right? So the purpose of these filters is to let people filter down to a small enough consideration set that they can actually make a choice. Right? So you need filters like this. This is a Shopify app. It's a free one. If you're not using it already, add it in. But then what you have to do is you have to then ask yourself, what are these things that these categories you're going to have, like size and color, right? Those are your product options. You can just, click of a button in the filter app, say, show me product options for colors and sizes, and have those in there, which then means, by the way, you're going to want to make sure that your naming of your sizes, like, make sure you always say S, M, L instead of small, medium, and large. But you'd see that show up really quickly if you were doing that. And the same thing with color. Make sure you're consistently saying your colors. Or simplify your colors to just, gray, red, instead of it being ruby and robin for I guess robin is more blue, but, different reds, Cabernet, shades of red, you just say red in the filter kind of thing. And there's tools that let you do that kind of stuff. So over in the filter, you'd only see like 5 different colors, I actually do the rainbow, red, orange, yellow, blue, green, purple, brown, black, white, and pink sometimes. But then you have other ones like, maybe some of these are cotton, maybe some of these are wicking, and you'll figure out what the features are in the design. So all those different things are attributes that, because right now, when I look at this page, I'm like, holy fuck, I got to go through 17 pages to figure out, what I like. If you let me filter, that would be great. And then those filters, right, those filter buckets probably become top-level navigation things. Like you might have T-shirts, tank tops, hoodies. You might have, for men, for women. You might have by design. Let me show you another one here. Let's AT jerseys, right? So this guy sells bike jerseys that he created. And what we did for him is, he's got these collections that are destinations, right? So Bordeaux, Hawaii, Lake Tahoe, all that kind of stuff. And, you go into one of them and you'll see the designs from that location kind of thing. So here, we start off with destinations as one of our things, then women, and then men. And so, we had 2 different ways that they could navigate. They could start off by destination, right? And then once they're there, they can say, well, just show me the stuff for men, kind of thing. And the same thing in Authentic, the poster one, which is no longer up here. But we're using a different filter app for them. But we allow them to start their shopping experience a bunch of different ways. But then when they're in any of those, we give them the rich filters to triangulate down on what they're looking for. So you need to, I would first define what filters you want for these products that make it easier for customers to find what they're looking for, and then decide on your navigation, which one of those filters becomes its own top-level nav thing. And so you might have, shop by gender, shop by color, shop by, I wouldn't do size, shop by design, and those kind of things. And then on that, shop by design is a great one, right? I wouldn't show, so when I call it a list of collections page, and you saw it in Rugged Rosaries. So when I click on Rosaries here, I don't go to a collection. I go to a list of collections, right? So for yours, for the designs, right, if I click on Shop by Design up here, I would see Wednesdays are better with Pickleball, and maybe even don't show it on a shirt. You just show the designs. You show an image for each of the designs, and you make a collection for that design. So when I click on the World's Okayest Pickleball Player image, it takes you into a collection of all the products that have that design on them, kind of thing. And, the same thing for men and women. You make all these collections for those buckets. And those end up becoming really useful SEO destination pages and will rank pretty well. Usually better. Your collections usually rank better than your product pages in Google. All right, so I think it's enough for collections. Let's talk about your brand. So I'm a huge believer in about pages. I'm a huge believer in brands telling their story, right? So, obviously you're not telling your story yet, so you're going to have to do that. If we go to my podcast, can't search here. Let's go to my website. And I think I have, let's just look at about pages. Yeah, so I would, no, not that one. Telling your brand story, episode 111. So I would look at this podcast episode, humbly I would say I would watch them all if you had time, but this one's a really important one about, and I actually I go through these sites, these are all Shopify stores, and I go about, talk about their about pages, and you look at the story they're telling, right? Because what you want to do, right, is there's a couple things you want to do here in your story. First of all, you want to embrace who you are, right? And what I mean by that is you're an individual. You're not some Chinese company making crappy shit and just trying to, peddle it off on the American population, right? You're a pickleball player. You want to talk about that. You want to talk about how you got into pickleball. You want to talk about why you're doing this brand and the story behind it kind of thing. But you want to make it about the person, about you, and any other else you have involved in this thing more than about the products, right? A lot of people talk about, our mission is to clothe pickleball players. That's fucking bullshit, right? You want to say, hey, I'm Pablo, and here's a little bit about me. I'll give you a real example of that is, if you look at my website and you go to my about page, hey, about Jade Puma, and there's a video of me, right? And I have somebody interviewing me, and I talk a little bit. I think I have clients talk about me also in there. I talk about me, my personal interests, things I do. I give a little bit of my history, how long I've been doing websites and yada, 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 right? So, you want to tell that story because here's the thing. When people are, here's the difference between a brand and products, or a store, an e-commerce store. An e-commerce store sells products, right? A brand sells stories. When you have a brand that you love in your hand, a product, whatever, like, let's say your racket, and you tell the story about the racket, the story you're telling is the story the brand told you about the racket. But if the brand doesn't tell you a story, you have no story to repeat, right? So that's why on your product pages, you want to tell a story about your products, and about your products is about that design, Give them some words they can say about this so they can tell their friends. So when they're on the pickleball court and somebody goes, I love that shirt, give them some words that they can repeat that you say, that they say about the shirt. It could be a funny saying about it, whatever kind of thing. You have to guide people. Like, I'll give you a real example. I like 8 years ago now, I did a Valentine's campaign for a client of mine, and they engraved messages on their products, right? So it's a personal engraved message for Valentine's. So this is for your significant other. This should be one of the most important messages you write that year, right? So we did a campaign, and everybody, bought the product. They typed in the message they wanted engraved on the product. Half the people wrote for their personalized message exactly what I put in the mock-up image. People don't think. They're too busy, right? People can think. It's not that they're stupid. They're just too busy in all the things that are going on in this world. You have to guide them. You have to underhand serve to them the things that they can repeat, right? Because you want them talking about your brand, and you want them delivering your brand message, but you have to give them that brand message. You have to do that at the brand level and at the product level. So the more information you give them, the more stories you give them, the more that they're going to have those stories, and they can repeat those stories to their friends. So when someone's out and about, and they're at the court, and someone says, I love your shirt, they're gonna say something about it, like, oh yeah, this guy Pablo started this new business, yada 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 yada, because you told him that story, right? I'll give you another, because abouts are so freaking important. I cannot emphasize that enough. You will never become a brand if you don't start talking about yourself, right? And that's why you should watch that video, because some of those brands that are in there are massive billion-dollar brands, right? And some of them are smaller than that, but they all have personal stories that they're telling. Now, if you're Chrysler, you don't have or General Motors, you don't have a personal story to tell. It's a different world, but you're not in that world. You get embrace the fact you're small, right? You should always emphasize how small you are, because people love that, right? Oh, this guy just started this thing. He's known for being the nicest pickleball player at the courts kind of thing, blah, 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 right? So let me just give you another example of Bixby chocolate, where Kate here, she makes fabulous, fabulous chocolate in Maine, and she actually, tells her story, and, blah, blah, blah. There's her mom. Her mom has cancer. She talks about that, her factory. There's a great video. You can see her smiling and laughing the whole time, right? So she's telling her story, but if she doesn't tell that story, then no one's going to be able to repeat it, right? And for hers, we even talk about the process about her chocolate's made, so people can repeat that story also, right? So the first thing, before I, create a brand, I would have you define your brand, right? What is your story? What is your values and all that kind of stuff? I've actually have a marketing course. If you want, I can send it to you about how to develop a brand. Let me just show you. It just walks through, why is a brand important? How do you define your business and audience? Creating your brand framework, your name, domain, visual, audio, all that kind of stuff. Right? Walks you through all those steps if you're interested in that. Now, here, so you need to decide what is your brand about, right? Because if it's just it's pickleball, that's not your brand, right? And what I mean by what it's about, right? You could be for serious pickleball players, right? You could be for making pickleball even more fun, which, by the way, is I think what you're doing, right? Like all your little sayings are kind of fun, right? They're cute, they're entertaining, right? They're not saying pickleball badass, right? Your pickleball is your brand is sort of like your personal style of happy, cooperative, collaborative. We're all here to have a good time, no bad days, all that kind of stuff. But you need to define a little bit of that and just put a few words down on paper so that you know what those things are, right? Because here's the thing. I love this color here, but I think that your brand is about sunshine, fun days, outdoors, friends, laughter, fun. I just said fun days, kind of redundant there. But if that's all true, you're not a black background, right? Even Assaholics Anonymous, and he wanted black, by the way, right? He wanted a black background. Right? I gave him black in his header, right, with his black and yellow, but he wanted. I was like, no, you do not want a black background. But your colors, I would think, are, and like I said, you got to define your brand first. Like, what are some adjectives you use to describe the brand, like the ones I just gave you, kind of thing. If that's the case, right? If you go to your home page, the green, the blue. So that's the pickleball blue. I don't know where the green comes from. The yellow's from the pickleball. I like this, although it's, there are some pickleballs that are that color kind of thing. I would have it be more bright, sunny, right? Blues and yellows are great. And maybe you end up with this color, and this color. But you got to play with it a little bit. But then you define your color palette, right? So what I do with all my clients is we actually we define our brand, right? Very, very literally, right? Here's the colors we're going to use, and we only use those colors. Here's the typography. Here's the fonts we're going to use, and all that kind of stuff. And you need to sit down and figure out what those things are, because I would say right now, you got to do the product stuff first, right? You need, the first place every store should start improving is in photography, and then your product descriptions, right? You want to start at the bottom of the funnel. The product page is the most important one, right? And then work up from your store. And it's the same order I've been going in as we've been talking, right? We started at your products, we looked at your collections, and now we're talking at the brand level on the home page and the about page and those kind of things. So let's talk about your name as part of your 00 Start Gear, right? So I would say 002 is overused in pickleball. I've actually built two other pickleball stores. They were like 4 or 5 years ago, so they both failed because they were too early, right? But everybody does 002. And let me just actually see that. 002 Pickleball, right? Surprised I don't see more of them. So I would. So here's the problem that you have is your site says 002, right? And is that your brand name 002? Or is it 002 Start? Or is it 00 Start Gear? Right? I'm very confused by that. So when I'm telling your story, what am I saying? What are the words that I'm saying? Because I'm getting one message here, and I'm getting a different message here. So you want those two as closely aligned as possible, right? Now, sometimes what people do is they'll say, let's say the domain for their brand. I had a store that was doing this the other day. I forget which one it was. Let's just say AT Bike Jerseys was already taken. Now, I wouldn't do it in this case, but a lot of people do shop AT Bike Jerseys, right? If the AT Bike Jerseys domain was already taken. But if the 002 Pickleball, is already taken, like if people, if I look at your thing and I do this, right? Your logo says 002, and I do 002 Pickleball, right? These guys are showing up. Let's see if there's any other stores. There's an Etsy store with it. It's going to be hard for you to compete with that. Here's another one, because everybody does the 002 thing, right? So it's a really competitive space. So when people search for that, they're not going to find you, or it's going to be really hard for you to be found. So you won't get that word of mouth thing. You're putting your logo on your apparel, which I totally agree with. But when they search for that logo, they're going to see 002 Pickleball. They're not going to find you. Too competitive a space. So you need a brand that is different enough. Now, you still want it to say pickleball somehow, not literally say pickleball, but you want people to get that point, right? What you're doing here is like you're telling people that pickleball, get it. People, everybody knows instantly this is a pickleball brand, right? But I wouldn't use this brand at all because you don't have the domain that matches it. Your domain, they're too far apart, and 002 is too generic and already dominated in pickleball by other stuff. It'd be a hard thing for you to succeed in search, right? So when I built my company in 2008, I came up with the name Jade Puma. The first thing I did, right, and by the way, I tell it somewhere in my podcast, the way I came up with that name is I live on Emerald Street, right? So I started off with Emerald, color of green, color of money. I like that. So I started doing these 2-word combinations, right? And I started off with like gems and animals, and I started, red anvil and blue heron, all these different combinations. An anvil's not an animal, I get that, but I was putting other things in there. And just all these different I literally came up with 1,000 of them. And then I searched for which domains were available. Let's say, 150 were available of the 1,000, right? And of those 150, I picked the best one. It wasn't perfect, not even close, but I picked the best one that the domain was available. And before I bought it, I did this. I searched for it. So that is me. 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 Jade Puma, me. That's 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 me. The point is, there was no other Jade. There was one small little Jade Puma thing in India, right? So I knew that I could own the word Jade Puma on the internet. And down there at Pearl, there was something that wasn't me. There was a jewelry store, right here, right? First, this stuff here is the first stuff that's not me, and I'm down like 25 results kind of thing. So one of the things you want to make sure is that your brand is unique enough that when people search for it, they're going to find you. Because otherwise, you're going to lose a lot of traffic to your competition when they search for 002 or 002 Pickleball. And they're going to go to all those other links, and they're never going to find you. So I would recommend really thinking about, changing your brand name and your domain. I don't have any ideas, Pablo's Pickleball or, something. I mean, it doesn't have to have your name on it. I purposely did not name Jade Puma, Austin Consulting or something like that. because I actually, expect that I will develop enough of a business that someday, someone will take it over from me and buy it or whatever kind of thing. It's not just about me. It's about the brand that Jade Puma is establishing. So I do not like your name. Just leave it at that. I do not like your logo. So here, right, because here you have one logo. Here you have a different logo. So you're gonna want consistency in your logo. If you ever look at the Nike swoosh or the Apple, it never changes, right? And it's only when, and people go, well, what about Google? They change their brand every single day. When you're the best known brand in the world, you can do those kind of things. But even Nike and Apple never fuck with their brand, right? Or almost never. So you're gonna want something, in this little 2 start thing, right? Here it looks good, but here it looks awful. It actually makes your 2 less readable kind of thing. If you put it on a white background, things are gonna read easier kind of thing. So, I would come up with a name first and then a logo second. But the name is, I would spend no more than 1 weekend figuring out what your name is, because you could circle the wagons forever. And you just want to cap that and say, we're going to spend 1 weekend and whatever the best name is, we can go up with it, or we can get a domain for it. And I do like .com domains. I still think they're important today. Although there are times you can go away from that, but I would not recommend it if you can find the .com for what you're looking for. And then your colors, getting rid of the black. Like I said, I like this color. I like the blue. And even the green, you might go with those or something. You don't want too many colors because it becomes confusing. But you'll make a page like this brand guideline. You'll say we're going to have 3 different shades of blue, 3 different shades of green, and you do that for contrast reasons, right? You'll use your darker blues, for contrast when you need to, and your lighter blues and that kind of stuff. And then have an about page. An FAQ page. You don't have your policies up here yet. The second you start advertising, you're going to need your policies listed. So in Shopify, they've got some boilerplate policy stuff. It's under the settings down at the bottom, policies. I think it's 3rd or 4th from the bottom these days. They keep moving it up a little bit. You're going to want those in there because you're going to be advertising. You're going to want Google Merchant ads, which Shopify will feed to Google Merchant for you. But it's a great way to get started on advertising and driving traffic. So what I love, right, is we talk about your brand. I love the fact that this is a branding element, right? It's what I love all my stores to do, right, is let's see if these guys are doing it. I don't think they are. Yeah, so here, notice we don't even have a shopping link. Handmade jerseys, designs use photographs taken on location, right? If we go back to Bixby, chocolates made with a conscience, no shopping link. We're setting the tone, right? If we go back to Rugged Rosaries, let's see what they've got. Strong rosaries for your strong faith. No shopping link in there, right? If we go to the Game Steward, another example. So I'm a big fan of what I call a "You Are Here" sign, right? And let's even look at Jade Puma's. I don't even remember what's on mine. Yeah, accelerate your Shopify business, right? So what you're doing there that I like is you're saying, hey, play pickleball in style. But is that what your brand's about? Because I don't think it is, right? I think it's have more fun playing pickleball. Right? Make your pickleball more fun, right? Because I don't think these are about style. I think they're about fun and laughs. So if that's the case, right, what you're going to say is, have more fun playing pickleball, and what your photo is going to be is 4 people, close to the net, laughing, pointing at someone's shirt, whichever one is your funniest one kind of thing, and they're all just having the best time of their lives kind of thing, right? Because you want to set that tone and that expectation for people. So you actually want to tell people, my shirts are funny. Because if you don't tell them that, a lot of them won't get it, right? Because they're too busy, right? It's not that they're stupid. They're just too busy. The way I always explain it is, think about your customer, right? She's driving the kids to soccer practice in the minivan, and she's looking at the phone while driving, and the kids in the back are screaming. How much attention is she going to pay to what you're doing? And she's on the phone, remember, it's a really small screen. So you got to dumb things down as much as possible and really guide them through, right? So, having a really nice image here which is easy to do in San Diego. Of course, there's beautiful people everywhere, right? You can get a group together, even a huge group would be fun, kind of thing. Whatever, kind of. You can think of stuff there, but showing people here. Show people. Now, the examples I showed you didn't show people. I get that, right? But I think your product, even more so than the other products I'm sure, like chocolate's about, me eating the chocolate or giving it as a gift. The rosary's about my faith, those kind of things. I think yours is all about, and the same thing with Alcoholics Anonymous, right? It's about having fun with other people. Now, we haven't done photography yet on the home. We put a product here for a specific purpose. We're testing something out. But I had him make the videos, like these videos, and put them together because we need to show people how they're going to use this product and how much fun they're going to have, right? So you need to set the tone that, this brand is about making pickleball even more fun than it already is, right? So you want your photography to get that point across. So I'd have a nice photo here of people smiling, laughing, wearing your designs, and your designs are part of that smiling and laughing, right? And the first time you do that photo shoot, it's not going to be that good, but it's going to be way better than nothing, right? And then the second time you do it, it's going to be a little bit better. And the third time, even better, right, kind of thing. All right, so that's enough feedback for today. I've been rambling for 46 minutes here. Hopefully this is useful for you. All right, talk to you later.